Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for a full transfer news roundup. Because with all the matches and the excitement that we've been having recently, we haven't actually had a chance to talk about the latest Barça news. And there has been some pretty significant developments over the past few days on the transfer front that could make things really, really interesting in the final 2 weeks now of the January window. Today, we're going to be discussing it all with you guys. The feelings are still very, very good after the Classico, so come on and let's do it. Because if we do begin, first of all, with the situation surrounding Kessie, who, of course, in the summer signed for Barça on effectively a free transfer. I think the club felt at the time as though it was a low-risk deal. It was a very high-quality player there available on that free transfer. We agreed very manageable wages with him. We brought him in, and I think there was a sense of it's a win-win situation, because obviously, if it works out, fantastic, Kessie can play a part at Barça, but even if it doesn't really work out, there'll still be clubs out there that will want to take him on. There'll be plenty of suitors for him, which is why we did the deal. But are we already at that stage? Are we already at the point now whereby Barça are thinking about moving Kessie on, are thinking here already about him leaving the club? Because he has been linked with a return to Italy at various points throughout the season so far. Kessie hasn't managed to gain any prominence in Xavi's team, and even now really, even when we switch to four midfielders in the starting lineup, he's still not been able to work his way in. Now, the latest name to be linked to Kessie is Inter, which is interesting. That is, of course, the arch rivals of AC Milan, where Kessie came from, and it is being reported that if Kessie went to Inter, in exchange, in return then, Barça would receive Marcelo Brozovic. Now, I'm not saying right here, that I want Kessie to leave the club, that I think it will happen, that I think that it should happen, but I do think that is an interesting looking deal there. Thinking about Brozovic, and actually, given some of the reactions that I've heard to this deal, a lot of people talking about Brozovic's age at 30 years old, a lot of people saying, would this even be a good swap for Barça? But I do think, guys, Brozovic is really underrated in football right now. I think he's certainly gone under the radar for many, many years there in that holding midfield role. I think he has a lot of the characteristics, a lot of the qualities that Barca would look for in a player. And I think Xavi certainly would really appreciate a player like Brozovic. And I think especially right now, when the club are actively looking to replace Sergio Busquets, we are looking long-term to sort of fill in for that position, which is going to take a lot of work. Now, we don't necessarily have huge funds right now to go out and bring somebody in. Of course, we're also looking to Frankie de Jong. Can he step up? And I think Brozovic, in the sort of short to medium term there, he would be an interesting option. I think that is why Barca here are looking at this deal, and apparently they have spoken with Brozovic himself. But like I say, I am not saying here for 1 minute that I want Kessie to leave the club, that I'm actively looking to sort of move him on or anything like that, because I think right now it all hinges on his opinion. It all hinges there on his preference in this January transfer window, because he's got a contract until 2026. At Barca, he signed in the summer on a deal until 2026, and that means he can decide what he wants to do. Does he feel as though he can be a success here? Does he feel as though he needs more time, more opportunities to show his true self? Because we've not seen anything like the version of him that we saw at AC Milan. Now, does Kessie believe we can see that and that he can bring that to Barca? If he does, he will want to stay. And the suggestion right now is that he will be at Barca beyond the January transfer window. But let's just wait and see how all of this develops in these coming days. Now, up next, we do have to talk about Memphis Depay. Lots of speculation and lots of talk surrounding him in the January transfer window so far. Fabrizio Romano broke the story a few days ago, very, very concrete there, that Memphis has decided to leave. He has made the decision that in this January transfer window, he is going to move on from Barca. That's the first time there that he's been open to leaving the club. That was not the case back in the summer transfer window. And once again, we have heard links to Inter. They are appearing very frequently throughout our January transfer window so far, and there were suggestions immediately after the Super Cup win on Sunday from Gerard Romero that Memphis could be on his way to Inter, and in return, Barca could be receiving Joaquin Correa. He has played in La Liga before there for Sevilla, the Argentine forward, but I think that was a deal there that was sort of looked at by a lot of Barca fans. You know, what was really the point of that deal? It seemed like a deal maybe for the sake of it, you know, getting a player in exchange that maybe didn't really fit into what we were trying to do, and apparently Xavi wasn't keen on that deal whatsoever. It wasn't going to happen, and Memphis's lawyer has come out actually, and he said, we're not going to Inter. We're hearing the rumours, we're seeing what's being written, but Memphis will not be joining Inter Milan in January. Which means that then we cross over to the interest from Atletico Madrid in Memphis Depay. There is no secret at all. They have a strong interest in signing him in the January window after they loaned out, of course, João Felix in that lucrative deal to Chelsea. Now, Atleti have spoken with Barca. They've spoken with Memphis Depay. They want to do that deal, but I do think so far Barca are sceptical. I do think that so far Barca have sort of been looking around elsewhere, not too eager to go and do a deal with Atletico Madrid. And the reason for that is, in the past, we had been burned by these kind of deals. You think in the past there about David Villa, we gave him away for basically nothing to Atleti. Exactly the same happened with Luis Suarez, and it came back to haunt us. Both times it bit us, and I think Barca here will only want to let Memphis go in the right deal for us, only if it benefits the club, and in more ways than just financially. And that is why right now, we are hearing a lot of links, real serious links here, to Yannick Carrasco. Barca apparently would be really keen if Memphis was going to join Atleti. Again, we're talking about an exchange. They want Carrasco in the other direction. Apparently, Xavi would really like to bring Carrasco in. Carrasco himself is absolutely desperate, apparently, to join Barca. He would love to make that move if it was possible, but Atleti, up until this point, they don't really want to let him go. But I think it's definitely a situation to keep an eye on, because last season, Carrasco, I thought, for Atleti, was outstanding, real big performer in their team. I think this season, he's not been at the same level. He has certainly dipped, but so have Atleti as a whole. But I think when he's at his best, you know, and on that left side, that's the significant part for me. We have been all season long trying to find solutions on the left, and Carrasco, I think he would bring a lot to the team, and I think also, crucially, Xavi would like his versatility, because obviously it's not just there as a left winger, as a left midfielder that Carrasco can play, but he's also played various times at wing back as well. So Xavi, I think, would like to add those options to his squad. Not to say there that he'd be starting every game or anything like that, but I think Xavi would feel they'd be useful over the course of a long season with several competitions. And I would be really, really keen to know, guys, what your thoughts would be on that potential swap deal. If Memphis was to leave the club, if he was to go to Atleti, would you be happy to receive Carrasco in return? Would that be a good deal for Barca? Speaking of big transfer situations, though, we must talk now about Raphinha, because actually over the past not only few days but actually few weeks here, we've heard a lot of rumours surrounding the future of Raphinha. We've heard that he could make a shock early exit from the club, that maybe Barca aren't really counting on him after what has been a difficult start to life at Barca since signing from Leeds. And the major link right now, as we all heard over the past few days, it's coming from the Premier League again. It's coming from Arsenal when it comes to Raphinha, because they are desperate to add to their squad there. There's been a bad injury to Gabriel Jesus. They've been looking around in January to bring somebody in that forward line. And of course, they thought they had somebody, the Ukrainian there, Mudryk, but he's now gone to Chelsea. They have snatched that deal from Arsenal there in a whopping €100 million package. And so Arsenal need something else. Arsenal need another option, and they now apparently have turned their attention to Raphinha. Now, I can believe that on the face of it, guys, given that in the past they have monitored Raphinha at several different points of his career. Even back in the summer, they were in the running to sign him then from Leeds too. So I can believe here that he's a player that Arsenal like, and certainly that Arteta would be able to use and thrive in their system. But is there any chance of him going? Is there any chance here that in this January window, Barca could actually sell Raphinha? That seems incredible to say, given that we signed him for big money just months ago. But here's the thing, because it has been rumoured there that if Barca were to receive a massive offer from Arsenal, if, for instance, they were willing there to match the kind of money that Chelsea just paid for Mudryk, €100 million, it's reported they really have to think about it. And honestly, guys, I actually believe that there. If we were presented with an offer there of, say, 100 million for Raphinha, a chance there to make huge money in our financial situation, to make profit on what we paid for him just months ago, of course, Barça, they're going to think about it. The board at the club, you know what they're like. They're very, very ruthless. They will think about these things. They will look at the interests of the club and they will make a decision on it. But the question actually that I would ask right now is not really about Barça. It's not really about what we would do, because I would actually say, what would Raphinha do though? Would he be interested in leaving the club already? Because we all know there what it meant to him to sign for the club. We all know about what he and his agent Decker went through in the summer. They were adamant they only wanted to sign for Barça. And I don't think we can forget that. And I don't think we should forget that under any circumstances. He turned down big offers from the Premier League. He turned down other clubs to make this move. And I think all of that is why, right now, I just can't really imagine Raphinha saying, you know what? I don't think I can succeed here. I don't think I want to try for any longer. I want to already move on. I want to already cut my time at Barca short. I just don't see that. He is still in the process right now of realising that dream. He's made the move, he's pulled on the Barca shirt, but he hasn't, just like Kessie maybe, he hasn't showed his true self yet. He hasn't really been given all that many opportunities to do it, and I think he wants more chances. And I'm sure here that in the months to come, he's going to work so hard, he's going to have to really take his chances when they come, but I would be very, very, very surprised if he left the club in January. I'd be shocked if that happened. He's on a contract there until 2027. This was a long-term deal that we made, and I would be shocked, like I say, if anything happened to cut that short so soon after signing him. And so indeed, guys, I would be really, really curious indeed what you make there of that Raphinha situation in particular. Do you see any possible scenario here where he does leave the club in January? And if he doesn't leave in January, what do you see the future holding for Raphinha at Barca now? Especially when you're thinking about that switching system that we've seen from Xavi, where using four midfielders more and more often recently, Raphinha, he is going to have to work hard to get back in. He is going to have to find something within his game to really show Xavi what he can do. But let's wait and see what happens. And I really do want to know all of your thoughts on the transfer side when we're thinking about Kessie, Brozovic, Memphis, Carrasco, and indeed Raphinha. I will see you soon, of course, where there will be plenty more videos to come. I'm loving the energy from you guys right now, loving the feeling among the fan base. It's a nice one. And I will see you soon for lots more of that. But until next time, as always, guys, Visca El Barça.